Hello once again. Today in this video I'm going to show you how to begin using GIMP and some of the basic features for if you've never used any sort of graphic design software before. Once you open up GIMP, this is essentially what it's going to look like. There might be subtle changes. I think my version's a little bit newer than the ones on the computer. But basically all the elements are in the same place. So let's just have a look at sort of what's going on with our workspace here. The first thing that you probably noticed is the toolbox here over to the left. These are all our different elements that we can use to manipulate our images, or to do drawings, or to change aspects. So if you notice, we've got all these different tools up here, and then we've got the options, or what we can actually control about the tool down here. So if you click on any of these, you'll actually see some of those options change on the bottom half, depending on what the tool is. The second window we have is actually our workspace. This is where the canvas, or our drawing area, is going to go. Or when we open an image to change something about it or manipulate it, it opens up in this window. And just as with any other applications you've used prior, it's got our menu items up here at the top. So here's where we would go to create a new document or to open an existing photo that we want to manipulate. And some of the other options that we're going to get into, primarily we're going to be dealing a lot with tools and filters, some of the different effects that we can add to our images to get different design elements. The third box that we have up is the layers feature here. We don't necessarily have to know a tremendous amount about layers right now. We will learn more as we continue, but do be aware that there's these three options down here. We've got our brushes dialog box. It gives us all different types of brushes that we can use. We've got some predetermined patterns that we can incorporate into shapes or images, and we also have this gradient dialog box. It's basically transitions from one color to another. So let's jump right in with a little intro assignment that'll get us familiar with some of these options and give us a look at how GIMP works. So to begin, we're going to go to File, New, and we're going to use the default document size of 640 pixels wide with a 400 pixel height. Press OK. So here's our drawing space. So to begin, the first feature that we're going to put on this beginning assignment is a nice gradient from the left side to the right side. In order to do that, we actually have to choose or depict our foreground color and our background color. So the first thing I'd like you to do is notice these two squares here. We've got our foreground color in the front and our background color in the back. And what I'd like you to do is just choose any two colors that sort of pique your interest. You can sort of choose on this rainbow here your basic color, and then if you notice, you can define sort of how dark or light it is over to the left here. So I'm going to start off with that color. Then you can choose one for your background color. Once we've had these two selected, if we were to start drawing, my paintbrush or my pencil tool would be in blue. What we're going to use is this feature right here, the blend tool. So select the blend tool. What it allows you to do is actually draw a line across your working space. So I'll draw a line here from left to right. And it'll actually fill in the gradient. So if you've ever seen text or backgrounds that have like a really subtle transition or a nice gradient, this is the feature that's used. I actually used it on the poster that I created for Guys and Dolls. In the background you can see a green gradient. So once you've had a chance to do this, you should notice that it starts from left to right with our foreground color, blue, and then it blends across the middle into our final or background color, green. So the next element that we're going to access is the text element, how to put some words on top of this canvas here. So what I'd like you to do, before we select the text tool, we're going to go ahead and change our color. I want this text to be black to begin with. We can select our black color. Grab your text tool, and then create a box in the middle of the image. See, within this box we can start typing. What I'd like you to type is graphic design. And then once you select this, the features that we have are very similar to a Word document. We can make this bold, which I'd like you to do. We can change the font. We want to have Arial. And we can also change the size. So I'd like you to change the size so that it occupies pretty much the whole working space that we have there. There we go. And what you'll see once you have that done is now in our layers palette we've actually got two layers. We've got our background and we've got our text graphic. And you'll notice each one has a little eyeball. If we were to click on it, it actually hides that layer so that we only see what is selected or what has an eye currently next to it. Same if we were to click on this text, we'd be able to see what it looks like without the text for a moment. So those are two basic features you should know about your layers. For our next step, I'd like to show you how we can use a new layer to actually create a nice white border around these words so that they're even sort of stand out a little bit more, even easier to read. So the first thing that we'll need to do is, in our layers palette here, we'll need to access a new layer. So just like a new image, we can create a new layer. The icon is this page. If you hover over it, it'll say create a new layer, so you can click on it. We're going to keep all the information the same. We're going to have it set to transparent so that it's see-through until we put something on it. And we want to call this layer text border. It's important to name your layers because some graphic design work, you'll have upwards of 40 layers. If you give it a proper name, it's easy to identify when you're working. And what you'll see is we'll have a third layer here with nothing on it right now. Next, what I'd like you to do is to access the feature that we can actually move the layers, how they stack one on top of the other. And you can do this by selecting the layer. So right now it's in blue, text border layer is selected. And I'd like you to move it below your graphic design text. So now that we have our three layers created and in the proper order, text graphic first, text border, and then background, what we're going to do is select this text. So we're actually going to grab this text so that it becomes active so that we can make changes to it. So to begin, make sure your graphic text is selected. We're going to right click on it. And then what we're looking for is this option down at the bottom, alpha to selection. If you see what it says replace the selection with the layer's alpha channel. And we'll learn more about an alpha channel as we move through, but it's an easy way to select that black text that's there. Once you click on it, what you'll see is that the text becomes active. This is what's referred to as dancing ants or marching ants. You'll see it different ways on different tutorials. But it means our text is selected. I want to make a border that's a little bit wider than the text, so I actually have to make this selection a bit wider. To do so, we go to Select, and we select this Grow option. So it's actually going to push out those dancing ants, or those little boundaries, and make it wider than the actual text is right now. So we want to grow this by, well, let's do 4 pixels so that we can see it. Actually, that'll be a bit large. Let's do 2 pixels. If you'll notice, it sort of expanded my selection a little bit here. So just in an effort to keep these videos short, that's where we'll end this one. Check out the next video to find out how we're going to put that white background in and to finalize the elements, how we go about saving this document.